Hey there, Otaku Ken-chan, back with another episode of Go Mega Otaku Gamer Alpha. Today we're going to go back to the early 2000s. We're looking at about, say 2004, when you had Sony, who was going to come out onto the scene. They were going to burst onto the scene with a handheld. And the ringleader, the champions, Nintendo, had to do something to keep Sony from taking the market away from them, just like they did on the home market front. So, they had to design, and today we're going to look at the Nintendo DS. There were several iterations of the Nintendo DS. The Nintendo DS was, it was developed by Nintendo. It was manufactured by Foxconn. It is the Nintendo DS family. It is a handheld game console from the 7th generation era. It was released in North America on November 21st, 2004. That's a good while ago. It's 10 years ago. Happy birthday. In Japan on December 2nd, 2004. In Australia on February 24th, 2005. And in the EU on March 11th, 2005. Retail availability was 2004 to 2007. I think that information's wrong. I don't know that they stopped making them in 2007, or they made, retail. They stopped retailing them then. Hell, you can still get a used one now. Maybe they did. So, maybe that's not so true. But they sold 153.99 million units, and that's all the units combined. That's all of these, all four. This is the Nintendo DS Fat, the Nintendo DS Lite, the Nintendo DSi, and the Nintendo DSi XL. And of course, we will go into, the differences on those in a little bit here. The media was Nintendo DS Game Card. Okay, and the CPU was a 167.028 megahertz ARM 94 6ES and one 33.514 megahertz ARM 7 TDMI. Storage was 4 megabyte of RAM and cartridge save. That changed. Used Wi-Fi. The online service was Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. The best-selling game was New Super Mario Bros. With 30.75 million. Backward compatibility with the Game Boy Advance. That was the DS Fat and the DS Lite only that did that. Okay, and then the successor was of course, to the DS, was the DS Lite, the DSi, and the DSi XL. And then, of course, they went into 3DS. But we're not going to talk about 3DS. We're going to talk about these four basically have the same chipset. Same guts. So that's what we're looking for here. That's what we're going to look at here. And Nintendo had, of course, come to the end with the Game Boy. The Game Boy was something that they felt wouldn't be able to compete with the up-and-coming Sony PSP. So Nintendo actually anticipating smaller games, touchscreen games. Now, this is before the iPod, this is before the iPhone, people. This is before the iPhone. 2004, the iPhone came out in 2007. So Nintendo correctly predicted that games would get smaller and people would want more casual, easier to control, touch-based games. Whether or not this was the correct way to feed that need, it's obviously, the phones the way they are now are obviously, selling way more than game systems like this. But a game system like this, a developer can make a game for it, charge $40 for it, and make a way bigger profit. So, and, for the most part, big budget games still to this day are on top of the heap. They're the ones making the big money still. So, whatever. Let's take a look at the differences in these machines. Here on the Nintendo DS Fat. Let's close this a minute and take a look at. They call it Fat for a reason, folks. Okay, because it's fat. Let's compare compare it to the DS Lite. The DS Lite looks like a Nintendo DS on a diet. Okay, for the most part. It's a little slimmer, and it's a little bit smaller all the way around. Don't know if you can see that. Let's see here. And a little bit less of a chump, a little bit more sleek, a little bit better design than DS Fat. But the DS Fat was still cool. There was nothing like the DS, really, when it came out. There were no touchscreen phones at this time that did gaming. So just bear that in mind. You have of course, your power button here, your rocker switch here, your control. This was the control. No sticks on this. You have your select and start buttons there. You have your A, B, and X, Y buttons here, for action. You have your outside bumpers, okay, on both sides. Okay, and dual screen. This is a touch screen. This is just a normal screen. You see stuff on. The stylus was put conveniently back here. Let's see if I can get this out of here with one finger. Yeah. Stylus. And the cool thing about this stylus is it also did this. Whoops. Up. 3, 2, 1. And this is the stylus here. Okay. Put that back. Slides back in there nicely. You have your power cable here, which was kind of big. You had your DS slot. DS card slots go here. You had this is like an infrared thing here. And then on this side you had your earphone jack, and this made it a little more proprietary, but you could just plug stereo headphones into that. You had your volume here, and you have here the Game Boy Advance slot. This had, when they came off with the name DS, it meant several things. Didn't just mean dual screen. It also meant developer system, according to Nintendo, and it also meant there was another 2 involved, another dual thing, and it's actually dual slots. So you had a slot for Game Boy Advance, not Game Boy, just regular Game Boy Advance, and your DS here. So yeah, this only did Game Boy Advance games. They didn't go further back than that, which is fine. I mean, it's not a bad idea to have these things play Game Boy Advance games. Then they changed the design a little bit. Now this one here is a little dirty because it's white, and I played the living hell out of this for a long time. But here you have your rocker switch here. Again, your touch screen here. Over here, your A, B, X, Y buttons again, and start and select, a little bit more efficiently placed. Your regular screen up there, and you have your stereo speakers there. The speakers on this one, of course, I forgot to mention, there they are. A little bit bigger, probably. This one didn't sound as good, I don't think. And of course, when you close it, it kind of looks. It's kind of like they were borrowing from Apple, like the iPod look or something. The white with the white buttons and crap. Sort of, I guess. Here you have your volume right there. Okay, your Game Boy Advance slot, obviously, right there. And your headphone jacks. Again, you could put regular headphones, and then they had like a thing that made it more proprietary. And of course, here is your stylus. Comes right out. You can use that. It's the bottom. There's a battery slot right there. Okay. Now these two were essentially the same design, in the sense that they both did basically the same thing. They made an internet cartridge for this. Actually, it was a DS card, and it used this slot with that cartridge for memory. Those are rare and hard to find now. If you have one of those, hang on to it. They're nice. They use the Opera browser. Now, by the time the DSi came along, of course, there was a few more changes made. The DSi had, for example, an actual interface with games. You could download games to it. It had memory on board. It had a slot for, well, I'll show you here. You have your rocker switch here, okay, and you have your power button, which at this point you just hold this down and it comes on. A, B, and X, Y here, start and select here, touch screen here, regular screen there, stereo speakers. Again, they're getting kind of small. See how the speaker things, the holes get smaller. Gone is the the Game Boy Advance slot, like you see there. Gone, okay, because you're downloading those games now. Here's your earphone thing again. Here's your stylus. Okay. Get in there. Gone. Okay. And your DS slot there. The power goes here. This is like you could fit like a string or something through there and carry it around on, carry things off of it or whatever. Your bumper switches out here. Oh, and I didn't mention this also had, bumper switches. Right there, right there. Okay. And this also had a camera, if you'll see or notice there, for taking pictures. And it had a front-facing camera right there. Okay, and a microphone right there. These also had microphones. Okay, microphone, tiny little dot right there. Okay, the microphone on this was in the front there, right there. Mic. Because some of these games, you talk to them and you blow on them, and that was the whole thing. They were reaching out to a different kind of crowd with this system. They wanted to reach more people, and this was Wi-Fi. All of them were Wi-Fi. They all had Wi-Fi capability. With the difference was with this, there was a place on the interface to actually set up the Wi-Fi so that it worked. Okay, and here we have the DSi XL. Basically the same thing as the DSi. Same layout. There's your rocker switch and your power. Camera and microphone in the middle there. A, B, X, Y buttons there. Start and select there. Touch screen bigger. Okay. Regular screen bigger. Down here was your, once again, your earphone jack. Back here, your stylus again. Okay. This also came with a larger stylus in addition. It was like a pen almost. I have that somewhere, not sure exactly where. This is where the SD card goes here. Okay, right next to where the stylus is. This is where this one has a game in it. Another place to put like a loop of string through. Here's a bumper switch and another bumper switch here. Here's the power. Okay, battery here. Right, and you can see of these two, you can see the difference in size very clearly. This is a very, very big difference in size there. The DSi XL is quite large. One of these screens, just one of these screens on the DSi XL, either one of them is bigger than the screen on the PSP. So together, they have it's just a monstrously huge amount of screen space there, almost like a miniature tablet screen space. And of course your stereo speakers here and here. Okay, and again, it had the layout. It had the the computer interface that had like its own interface here. And let's look at that. Let's see. I haven't powered this on in a long time. Let's see if it even comes on. Oh, look at that. Yeah, it does. Where's the... Oh, and here's the volume right here. It's on a rocker switch now by this time. So we're going to hold that down. We're going to get rid of that volume right now. And then you just touch the screen. And, you know, there's a picture of me there. Yeah, I know. And then you can, you know, as I said, you can download games. Let's get a better focus on this here. You can download games, like I have Earthworm Jim on here. And you can just scroll through here. I got the Brain Games, and you know, here's a system settings right there. I got Code Lyoko in there. I'm a Code Lyoko fan. The DSi camera, the sound, DSi sound, which you can actually put MP3s on here. Well, actually, you have to convert them to AAC first. The sound quality is, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 3, because you can barely hear anything. But, you know, I guess they don't want little kids going deaf. The DSi shop, download, play. This was for if you wanted to get a demo of a game, you could, for a while there, go into like a GameStop and get your download, try a game. Picto Chat, which is pretty cool. There's your browser, and the browser is, well, look at this here. Actually, my browser, this isn't connected to my Wi-Fi right yet, because I changed my router out, but it uses Opera. Okay, now it's trying to connect, and it's not going to be able to, but that's okay. But you have like this kind of a start page here. I hope you can see this. This is really hard to do. Okay. You know, so rudimentary browser. And of course, to come out of any of these, you would just, you know, go back and hit DSi menu down there, and it goes back to the DSi menu. Flipnote Studio, that's a hell of a lot of fun. It's an app where you draw these you draw these static pictures and then you loop them together. It's kind of like, remember that old trick that you did with like a notepad or something, where you draw a little picture in the corner of something and you just keep drawing it on every corner and you alter it a little bit, and then when you flip the things really fast, it looks like it's moving. That's kind of how Flipnote works. You can do all kinds of crap with that. Brain Games. These are just little express things here. Photo clock. I got the clock. There's all kinds of, you know, apps you can get to. Earthworm Jim from Gameloft. This is a drum machine. Whoop. Go back. This is a keyboard. Here's another keyboard. Here's another game. And then, you know, it gets emptier from there. But that's basically, essentially, the way the DSi ended up being too. But this is a good design. I like this design a lot. The battery in this, as I said, I haven't turned this on in a long time, but you see how much battery I still have on there. I got a lot. So, anyhow, that's what that looks like. We're going to go ahead and take a look at a couple of games here, and then we will wrap it up. Okay, we're looking at Code Lyoko on the DS here. So let's get to it. And I've picked Yumi. And here she can throw her fans to hit the little bug things. Oh, she can also get killed. And you can also see me in this, because this screen is so highly polished. I mean, it's a real nice screen. I'll take Yumi again. Select her. Okay. Select. Okay, so here we are. We're back. comes some more. I hit these things so many times though to get them to go down. Okay. Okay, I've approached this, and now it's saying this. Here comes Jeremy. Okay. So we go back to this highly polished screen where you can totally see me in it. Okay, shut up, Jeremy. Let's get back to the gameplay here, buddy. That's like a marker that tells you where you are in the game. But anyway, you get the idea. A little code Lyoko. Let's see if I can get rid of the image of me in the next game here. Okay, here's a little pervy one for you. This is called Feel the Magic XXXY or XYXX. So, but it's kind of pervy. It's all about. It's very Japanese. You have to. Well, I'll just show you here. Okay, Feel the Magic XYXX is called. To win her over, we're going to have to put on a super strong heavy-duty performance. Now you got to pull yourself together and ask her out on a date. And it's called Monocycle. Okay, so we'll hit that. And I'm using the stylus, of course. It shows monocycle crap. You have to basically stay on the line. And I'm going to screw this up. If I could tape this camera to my head, this would work so much better. Okay, so here we go. Here's my guy. And I gotta, like, do this. Okay, it goes up to the... Hope you can see what I'm doing here. It's basically you're just... What I'm doing is I'm wheeling this guy across by using my stylus here. Oh, I fell. Yep. Oh boy. Totally gonna blow this. Trying to do this while keeping it in the camera. It's kind of difficult. But you get the idea. There's a style. This is heavily involved with stylus. You're on a timer. You got 23 seconds to get there, and you got to guide the guy up through this using the stylus. And that's the kind of game. A lot of this game is basically touch based. Okay, let's look at something else. Okay, here we have Mario Kart DS. Okay, single player. We're all familiar with this. Yeah, we're going to do Wario here. Everybody knows all about Mario Kart. And this was one of the things I loved about this was the first online game I ever played. Seriously, I'm being serious. I got this. I got this when the DS came out. and started playing it online, and I played it online all the time. Here comes Donkey Kong. Of course, it just goes to show you, the very first online game I ever played, and it's wireless. You know, I was playing wirelessly online on a tiny little thing like this, versus like a PC or a full-blown game console or something like that. I wasn't really, the online gaming, I didn't really, myself, start really seriously using the internet until about 10, 11 years ago. I just don't think it was that big of a thing early on. But I love it now. I wouldn't want to go without it now. I do all kinds of things with it now. Gaming just being one thing. I love Google. Google is my company. I mean, I really, really, really love Google. I wouldn't want to... Whoa, I missed... Speaking of Google, recently I've been trying to categorize... Or I've actually been trying to catalog, not categorize. Talking and playing at the same time. But I'm trying to catalog my games, which is a monumental undertaking. Just the sheer raw number of games. But I'm using Google Sheets for that, because then I can just update them anywhere and take them anywhere I go. And you know, when you start doing Google Sheets, it just saves it to your drive for you, your Google Drive. There we go, and I win. But and I got hit too. You get the idea, though, about the system. Graphics were good. Didn't have to be as good as the PSP, and it wasn't as good as the PSP graphic-wise. But sales-wise, Nintendo had a winner. Again, a big winner. Sold way more. Outsold the PSP slightly better than 2-to-1. And their tie ratio was a lot bigger. You know, there was a lot more games. A lot more people were actually, playing games on this system than they were in the PSP. This didn't have any moving medium. And of course, at the end of the day, Sony comes out with the Vita, and what do they use? They use little cards. These are the little cards that they use for Nintendo DS. And you see a similar kind of design for the 3DS today. But they're just like they look like little bit, almost like a memory card. But, and of course, what does Sony do? They go and copy, because Sony never really innovated anything. They just copied other people's stuff. Nintendo, on the other hand, comes up with stuff on their own when there's nobody else doing it, which is hard. That's the harder thing to do, for sure. Anybody can copy. Just ask Steve Jobs of Apple, or, well, you can't ask him anymore. Ask Tim Cook, or what's his name from Microsoft, I think they're called. I don't know how relevant they are anymore, and it's because they spent their entire lives copying stuff rather than innovating. But if you innovate, there's always going to be room for you, no matter how much other people copy you. Because where are they going to get their ideas from? Where would Sony be if they had to think up their own stuff? They had to come up with stuff on their own. I think it would be a totally different story. But anyway, there it is. I'm going to recommend this system to anyone and everyone. You probably already have it. In fact, if you're watching this, I'd say that there's a good 97% chance that you probably already have at least one iteration of this machine. So, it's got a huge library of games. Biggest selling Nintendo system ever. One of the biggest selling systems of all time. Right neck and neck with the PS2. The PS2 just edges it out. But unfortunately, Sony with their PS2. God. But, so there you have it. It's the Nintendo DS.